Hi, Creative Mornings. Happy, what month is it? September? It's September. Is anyone else just like stupid busy right now? I feel like fall for most people is insane. So the fact that you are here, thank you so much for being here and bringing your presence and your energy per usual. So glad to be together again. Before we jump in, because we have so much beautiful content and things, people are still chatting, which I love, but I want us all to be able to hear. I want to just acknowledge our amazing sponsors that make this happen. So obviously the gallery at Ideation Orange, woohoo, come have an event here. There's been amazing things that have happened in this room lately outside of Creative Mornings. So thank you to Gallery at Ideation Orange. Next, Meg of Envy Design Management. I give a personal just endorsement of Meg. She's wonderful, kind, and if you need support in your business finances in any way, like she's what all of our creative brained people probably most likely in this room need. So please go talk to her. She's kind, she's safe. She will help you get to where you want to go. Eric, Allen, production, AV, all your AV needs. We have Rob on camera. He's amazing, amazing photographer. Chris, where's Chris? Chris doing photography. Thank you so much. AIGA. Do you want to say anything about AIGA? What are you guys up to these days? Go to the AIGA website to learn more. AIGA Detroit. Oh yeah, because there's lots of chapters. Go to AIGA Detroit. There's so many. If I'm forgetting, it's not personal. Oh, Anchor for providing coffee. Anchor, we need to make sure we get like your coffee. Did you guys hear this? You heard this, right? That Anchor has their own coffee brand coming out in partnership with Sabbath. So we're going to need to display that next month and work on that. So that's amazing. Back Talk, also supporting coffee. Back Talk's in the house. Oh, guys, there's a lot of people that make this happen. Anyone else I'm forgetting? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Great. So as you can see, this takes a whole team to bring these to life. So thank you. Without further ado, let's just jump in because this is gonna look at this setup. This is the best one we've had. Just give it for Yolanda and Rick Williams. Come on out. Let's do this. I'm just gonna hand the floor. Let's do this.
Good morning. I know you guys.
Good morning.
Some of you are probably like, "Who is this girl in this hat?" So my name is Yolanda Williams. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. We don't know what we're about to say. We like to just wing it and see what comes out naturally. We are the owners of Distinct Life, which is a brand development agency and also a brand that we started in 2010. We also own a skincare company called Cream Blends that we started in 2013. In our kitchen, when we started Cream Blends, we had no idea how fast the brand would grow. I started making formulas in the house, giving them to family and friends, and we were already doing business. Rick was already a brand guru. He was the co-owner of Burn Rubber, a sneaker boutique in Royal Oak. So we already had the design aspect of it. So the brand appeared to be bigger than it was. So when I got the meeting for Whole Foods, like a month after I started Cream Blends, and they said yes, they had no idea that we had no idea what we were doing. So we believe in serendipity. We're going with things as they come. We're very organic people. So we have Cream Blends, Distinct Life. We homeschool our kids. We do insurance. I'm a writer. I wrote a memoir on my 40th birthday called Sorry for Your Loss, which deals with my experience with grief. And that went really well. So we just do a number of things, as you'll see today, but I just wanted to, say welcome to everybody, those that we know and those that we'll meet this morning.
Thank you. My name is Rick Williams, the husband to this beautiful woman here next to me. As she mentioned, I started my journey in business and as a professional creative in 2007 when I bought Burn Rubber from my then mentor, Kenny Carroll. So I actually worked for Burn Rubber for a year for free, and I built their first website. I found a need, and I tried to fill a need so I could get some information. Then that turned into Kenny Carroll coming to me saying, "Yo, Rick, I'm selling the business. I'm moving to Portland," and he was working for Nike. So I believe he was a running rep. And from that point, I started going through my head like, how can I make this happen? Where can I was just graduating college, and I was in a position where I was, it was a crossroad. So one thing led to another. I almost didn't think I would be able to get money, and I went to my grandfather and I told him after I had like basically hung it up and told my partner Ro, I was like, look, you might have to try and get this on your own because I don't know where I can get my half of this money. And it was more money than I'd ever really thought about. And then my grandfather was like, yo, Rick. I showed him, I was like, Pop, and he's passed. He's the reason I'm here right now. And it's because of his investment that I'm telling you about in this moment. But what he looked at the numbers because I went and got the books. It was when people were doing their books like on paper. They weren't even using QuickBooks like we do now. And I was like, yo, I got the books. I got the only books. So no one else is looking. I got the books. They're moving in 2 weeks. No one else is looking at this business because I got the books. So at least I had that leverage. But then I had my partner and I showed my grandfather. I was like, so now I'm getting ready to give the books back because, Pop, I couldn't find the money. And he said, Rick, I could get you that on Thursday. The half of my half. So at this time, I really didn't have a realistic concept of money. Like I didn't know how much money, what money was, like what's real money. My parents weren't telling me about the bills for real. And I was just getting out of college. So he made that investment, and like my half of the down payment, we got good lawyers, good accountants, and we ended up buying the business for half of what he was trying to sell it to us for. And then so that way, with that money that loan that he gave me, I was able to start Burn Rubber, and we just had like $40,000 worth of old inventory, and we just started hustling, and $6,000 in the bank. So after we purchased the business, then we had $6,000 in the bank left over now it's time to flip and hustle, and that's what we did. That's when we met people like Phil. This is my brother Phil Simpson, the world renowned. You know what I'm saying? Smile man, happy man.
We met him. Were you a freshman? Just playing. That was just a shameless plug.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And then that's Burn Rubber ended up in Royal Oak, ended up being, and I'm going to get to patterns. We're here to talk about patterns. But there are some patterns that happen in our lives that got me to this point, and I'm going to try and weave them both together. But with Phil and the people that we've seen in our lives and that we've crossed paths with, we've been able to, I know you've heard the saying, steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron. That's what this is. This is my brother. This is someone that if he's doing something and I'm learning something about murals, then I'm teaching him. If he's learning something about murals, he's teaching me. And that's how we became a community of artists and creatives to help grow. Because I've had experiences that a lot of my brothers haven't had. I work with some of the biggest companies in the world, and I come in as an independent, as a creative by myself. And that's a knowledge set that I've been able to gain because I'm just Rick. You know what I'm saying? But I come with the spirit of my brothers and the people in my community.
And I think he left out too. So Rick is a designer and a sneaker designer. He's designed over like 60 pairs of sneakers for major companies like Puma and New Balance and Saucony, and I don't know. He's worked with Beats by Dre. He did his own like speaker with Beats by Dre. So a lot of times you look at things, you're like, wow, like how did I end up here from what we came from? Where we didn't grow up in families that had a lot of money. We've literally been bootstrapped since we started, like we still are today. Everything that we make gets put back into the business. So you normally are the ones that are paid last or not at all. And with patterns, I know that that's the theme for today, but really we're here to just really talk about the brand and the design aspect of it, but patterns is about consistency. And we've consistently showed up the same way from 2007, really before 2007, because in 2004 was when we started our very first business, which was a screen printing business in our basement in our subsidized townhome where the rent was based on your income, so it was really low. I really wish I could move back. Like there now, like
At least have a subsidized
it
office.
was great. Like we had a park in the backyard, but you wouldn't know. We were like living large. Like I think it was like maybe $400 rent. So we came from very humble beginnings, but that's what keeps us grounded. That's what keeps us staying on brand, and we only work with people that really kind of resonate with us. We do things organically. We say no to a lot of opportunities and things sometimes that can hinder you where you feel like I could have grown faster, but I also don't want to be attached to brands or people that don't believe in the same principles that we believe in. So that's what we'll get to it, or
That's
we'll
the
be
most
here all
important
morning.
part is when you come into agreement with people, the people that we're around, we vetted those people. Because when you see me, if I recommend someone, that's a reflection on me. So I'm very particular about who I stand next to or who I let get close to me, because there's a lot of evil out here. So we're gonna sit down now.
Thanks.
Because I'm gonna get into I'm gonna get into more of this, and I'm gonna leave this up right now. What you see in this image is kind of like Yolanda mentioned consistency, and consistency is one of the foundations of brand to me. I've been in all of the businesses that you heard us mention. I play the role of the brand manager, the brand director, the person that a lot of times the art director. I design the stuff and I show you how we use it. And that's kind of what, when she said we're an agency, that's what I do for other companies. So let me just plug this real quick. There's a card shop opening downtown in the heart of the city called Three Kings. That's one of our latest projects, and one that I'm very excited about because the card collecting game is alive and well, and it's crazy. So I hope to see you guys there in the beginning of October. I digress.
And one of the owners is named DeWitt, and we went to the same high school. I'm gonna just plug Oak Park High School real quick.
Yes. So, but that is a testament to relationships. I believe that God has blessed me with a certain knowledge base and a certain way of doing things, and I'm able to leverage that to help the people around me. And I believe that's all of our job. Our job is to inspire. Our job is to help one another reach that next step. So let me kind of go back to we said 2010. I have a pattern that it's gone through various iterations. It was inspired by the duck camo, Carhartt's duck camo, the bubbly camo, and the Bape camo. Bape Nego is one of my early inspirations, way before we opened Burn Rubber, before any of that. And I've always just loved, like, I grew up as a hip hop head kid. I grew up listening to hip hop, wearing camo pants all the time. So patterns have always been a thing that I would study and look at, and it was interesting to me. So when I during my time, running Burn Rubber, we got into doing those collaborations. And in the beginning, a lot of the companies, they wouldn't let me put our name on the outside of the shoe. So I was like, well, how do I let these people know that this is mine? This is like, we did this. So that's when I started creating patterns, repeating patterns that I could use on the insole of the sneakers. And the first one I did was an Argyle pattern. And the Argyle pattern was to represent the colors of our store, because we were trying to brand our store. And then even for and then for the photo shoot of that, we shot it. It was like our mascot was a chef. Like it was originally a T-shirt that a friend of mine, Paul Kwan, designed for the original owner of Burn Rubber. And the day that we got the keys, I went in and I found this sketch in a file cabinet in Burn Rubber when we were going through everything. And when I pulled that sketch out, that was my homie, a relationship. And I called him. I'm like, yo, Paul, can I use this? What would it take for me to buy this sketch from you so I can own it, so I can make it the mascot for Burn Rubber? So then I'm learning now at this point, when I look back, I found out that this is when I started learning how to be a creative director. I'm making decisions. I have taste. But I didn't know what was going on at the moment. I was just like, this is fresh and I need it. So then I got that, and then what I did was like, I'm not gonna use the exact drawing, and I had my another friend digitize it and change the aspects of it so it's based off of direction. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I see what's going on. But then at that moment I said, I need to learn how to use Illustrator. So I grew up drawing and just painting things, but it was never like I never was like I'm gonna be an artist. You know what I mean? I still don't say I want to be an artist. I just am what I am. So what I did was I went and we got this did this photo shoot. We had my friend who was our web guy act as he was a chef, and then he had the shoe on a platter with food around it. And because I did that creative direction for that photo shoot, Hypebeast posted it. Now this is an important moment, because you have to understand it's all about communication. You can design the freshest stuff in the world, but if you don't have a relationship or a way to get it out there, it's just gonna be on your computer at your house. So we took these pictures, and then I sent that out. Now that I wasn't sending out the pattern or anything, but it was in the shoe, and it was something that it was a discoverable element in the beginning. So that was like my first pattern.
And then I just wanted to jump in. So the platter, the shoe, the whole premise was Burn Rubber cooking up fresh kicks every day, all day.
Yeah, that's what the shirt said. It said fresh kicks all day, every day. So then from that shirt, you might have seen the block letters of our logo. I designed that. And then under it says fresh kicks all day, every day. So I also took the saying from the same thing. So really, Paul Kwan is like the godfather of the Burn Rubber brand.
I think he probably should have had shares in the company.
I just realized that right now, because he was the one who I was indirectly taking my inspiration from, but executing it in a way. And then the consistency comes from, once we got this character, then we started, it started appearing everywhere on hats. Big Sean's wearing it, Chris Brown's wearing it, and then now that is where the influence comes in. So before there were influencers, the influence was we were doing that. You know what I'm saying? The real influencers are the people that we all look to inspire us. You know what I mean? Before there was any social media, they were wearing it in videos. You know what I mean? So these are all principles and I guess tools that I started putting in my pocket. That's what's leading to the day when we're an agency and we can help other people. It's the small steps that we're taking to kind of get there. So that was like that experience with that first pattern. And then I'm going through with Burn Rubber, and I'm designing all these shoes, and the shoes are, paying homage to the spirit of Detroit, paying homage to the workforce of Michigan with the blue collar, white collar pack. And Joe Louis with the boxing heritage shoe. And then I just got to the point where, you guys know I'm not from Detroit. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I moved here when I was in high school. Met my wife at Oakland University. We got married there. Then we've been living in Southfield since 2007 when we bought Burnt Rubber.
Been married 20 years.
Yeah, we got married in college and went back to school on Monday, like yeah, with wedding rings on.
No, I was not pregnant.
No, not at all.
Just had to put that out there because
Yeah,
sometimes
that was not
people
the
think
reason.
she had a baby on the way. No,
So where was I at, babe?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Milwaukee.
Thank you. My
I'm from
brother.
Detroit though.
Yes.
Puritan Avenue.
So Yolanda's from Detroit. Yeah, but my adult life, my whole career has happened in Detroit. Like this is my home for sure. Like I've been here at this point longer than I've been in Milwaukee, and it is what it is now. So now we're both. However, I had to make that clear because this is where my internal battle started. I'm like, yo, I'm telling all these Detroit stories, but this isn't where I grew up. You know, I'm just telling my friends' stories. So I was like, how? And then my business partner is a rapper. So we're coming out with albums. I'm helping him do mixtapes and we're doing, I'm helping him do that. And I'm like, well, where's my personal voice? I'm the helper. I'm the one who can design stuff and get it going. So then I was like, I sat one day at my house with Jay John. I don't know if you guys know Jay John, but this is my brother as well. He's a producer. He's part of Finally Famous. He's with Big Sean. Like he was one of his producers. And we were sitting at my house. He runs Burn Rubber as well now. And I'm like, yo, I think I want to call the brand Distinct Life. And he was like, why? I was like, distinguish is not being the same, not identical, separate. And when I was looking around in the industry and the things that we were experiencing, like I've been in a place where, you just see wild things. And I'm like, I don't choose to do that. I just told you guys I got married in college and then went back to school because I knew what I wanted. And I saw myself taking the road less traveled all the time. So I said, I want to call it Distinct Life. And we also run with the moniker of the Talented 10th. W.E.B. Du Bois made that a popular thing in our community. It was something that he talked about us being leaders. There's 10% of us that are going to be the leaders, that are going to understand the sacrifice that it takes to lead and understand how to grab someone and bring them up with you. So that's what our brand stood for. That's what it stands for now. So when you see me doing things like partnering with Ghost Beard to do Sneaker Friends, that's a concept, or Super Friends, and that's what murals that we're painting right now. But it's a way for me to, I saw that I was getting certain opportunities and he gets certain opportunities. And we were like, if we come together, we're gonna be stronger and we're gonna show people around that this is how we really win. So we did it, and then now we're painting murals together, and we still have our own identities. So we're on a mission to kind of help and show through that experience, and we're welcoming other people to do it with us. But this is all the principle that is behind the Distinct Life. And this pattern that I created, and I believe the pattern, I started working on it prior to me understanding what the name was going to be. But it started out as a 5-color pattern, just like the regular camo. And I had the different shapes. The shapes that you see in here are the same shapes, but they used to be 5 different colors. And then it got to the point where I would use that. I think the first thing I did that on was a hat. This is you seeing the different iterations of the pattern. I'm just trying to find one of the first ones. So if you see under her hat, there's like, this is the second one. I don't know if I have the first one on here. No, because that's the second one too. I'm just blowing all the surprises. Sorry, guys. There it is. This is the first. That's the first thing I made with the pattern is this hat, and that's Devin, another one of my young guys, and the hat was made as a part of a trade show. Like they made it. Who did I partner with? Flex Fit, and it was at the Agenda trade show, and they gave these away to all of the buyers. So that was another relationship thing. And they made the hat for free. But this was the first time that I released anything under my own, something that my creative outlet. So the Distinct Life was the start of my creative outlet. And then the pattern developed, and I did like a tonal version, and that's on the inside of certain shoes. Like this was a sample of a shoe that I was working on with a company called Gourmet, and this is an example of where that we used the tonal pattern. And as you can see, it's still very much like the other ones. It's the same pattern, just a different execution. This was just another variation for some accessories that we did with a company. Then we've used it on walls, murals, of course, and different product. One of my favorite executions is the D-Boss. This is something that we've been able. Yolanda has these on right now. Shout out to Tim and Sam from Detroiters. Yeah, the insole right here. So, side note for has anyone raise your hand if you've heard of Detroiters, the TV show? Okay, if you haven't, it's on Comedy Central, starring Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson. These are my friends. Tim and I went to high school together, and when we were in high school, he was definitely the funny guy. Like he didn't take much serious. So like the fact that he's who he is, getting Emmys now, is what he was supposed. He's doing what he was supposed to do. But this was an opportunity where I was brought on this show to be a creative consultant. Tim called me and was like, Rick, we have this show and the logo they made is horrible. Would you be down to make a logo for me? I don't have any much budget, but if it gets picked up, I'm gonna bring you on to the show to, be a creative consultant. So I was like, sure. And this is the original logo, the one that you see on here. And this was the first iteration. And then it, edited up to where it is now, where we have the colors and stuff. But this was an example of where I've even used the relationship with New Balance. And I designed this shoe and they gave us 75 pair for the cast and crew. But this was another opportunity where you see that pattern. You wouldn't even know to look for this pattern. You probably wouldn't even have noticed it if I didn't point it out, because it's not the focal point. It's always a background. My pattern is the thread that ties the things that I've done in the world together. So when you look at, there's a mural downtown that says they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. It's in Eastern Market, and it has a young man named Evan holding a bouquet of flowers. I shot that photo of Evan, and then my friend B. Mike from New Orleans painted that portrait. But if you look behind that portrait, you see the pattern. That's something that when I realized I don't want to always be in the front, but you do need to give me my credit, because that's what I was experiencing. I was doing all this work and I was getting the same credit. I was doing the group project. And then everybody was winning, and you would think that the people who are winning with you would point and say, yo, this is what happened. But that doesn't always happen. So I was like, well, fool me once, shame on me. What did George Bush say?
Fool me can't.
You
Fool me can't be
can't
fooled
get fooled
again.
again. So that's where we ended. You can't get fooled again. And then I started planting the pattern as a twofold thing. It's that thread, but it's also like you don't have to worry. One day people are gonna know, and they're gonna go see all the breadcrumbs and put them together. So that's how it started, and then it was my way to be able. I didn't have to write Rick Williams on anything. So that's what I really love about it. A lot of if you look at a lot of my murals in the world, you don't see my signature on it. I'm gonna go sign them now, but that was my thing. I just didn't sign them. I just would put it up and go. This was the first complex con that ever happened, and it was in Long Beach, California. And Jansport reached out to me and my friend Natural, and we came together and did a collaboration. So we wrapped a whole booth, the floor, the couch, the everything with our pattern, these couches, and we auctioned everything off for charity. So we didn't leave with anything, but we raised awareness for our collection that was coming out, and we were able to raise money for a good cause. But this was another example where because I had an established pattern, I was able to get with my friend like this, the triangle artwork, that's him. And we were able to come together and both live in this piece and both tell the story because of the pattern.
As a writer, one of the things that they always tell you is show, not tell. So somebody being able to recognize what you do without you saying, you know, Yolanda Williams or Rick Williams. Like, so this was a part of the show, not telling in a very subtle, you know, a subtle way.
Yep. So as you can see, we're still in the tonal era. I used it as a deboss on different product in the market. This was another collaboration we did like a when like Instagram was first kind of getting started. We did a collaboration and like a print giveaway with One Time Run. You guys know One Time Run? And Hype Beast. And this was a one of three piece that I did with Natural that we gave away for a collection that I did with Reebok. Here's that mural that I was just speaking of. This was from a commercial that I did with Cadillac. So I'm also a tap dancer. And I say dancer lightly because I really view myself as a musician. That's what this is right here. And you see that pattern right there? This is you can hold that back. This is an album that I created during the pandemic, and it's all tap. The whole album is tap. I have some of my friends like Fat Cat, Guilty Simpson, Mama Soul. There's a few verses on there. It was an experiment. It's something that I've been doing since I was 15 years old. I've danced off Broadway for National Tap Dance Day. And I just recently came out with a song yesterday to encourage people to vote. And thank you. It actually features Benny the Butcher, Jay Electronica, Freeway, and Black Thought. And then I come in right after Black Thought. If you guys, I told you guys, hip hop raised me. So what I said has so much gravity. You have no idea what it meant to me to be able to be the first time I ever present Metal Feet to the world, which is the moniker that I came up with from doing this project, is on a song with some of the best MCs that have ever rocked a mic ever. So that was done. I used this pattern once again to keep that going. So you could see this came out during an art show that I did at Spotlight a year ago called Hip Hop Raised Me. That's where I kind of paid homage to hip hop and also introduced the metal feet concept, the moniker, and that's the tool that I'm gonna use to kind of tell my story. So it talks about Metal Feet being a designer, a creative, a father, and it's like he has this gift to connect to the Most High, and that's where the power comes through his meditation practice, which is tap dance. So that's something that we'll be, working on moving forward. But some of the things that you see up here, you're starting to see the current iteration of the camo. And now it features this gradient, and this gradient is to represent a new day. It represents the moment that the sun pierces the horizon when it's coming up. So that's when you see me painting that around the city, it's meant to invoke gratitude. Um, so now we've taken this pattern and it's showing up in a lot of places. So I've been able to, the most recent project that can you hand me that, yo? That I did with Puma as a part of our Detroit Inspires the World collection was to pay homage to Slum Village. You know, it was for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And you see that pattern is on the inside of the shoe and the back. Now, this shoe is about Slum Village, but as the storyteller, I was able to, because I have that pattern, I was able to, you know, have those hits on there so we can both tell that story. Another one of my favorite features of this shoe is it shows the map of Detroit. This is like campus marshes on the tongue. So like I said, I like to have those discoverable elements and it reaches beyond the pattern, but this is where the pattern has kind of come now, and I use it in different campaigns. This is actually a project that I want to touch on. I told you guys that my grandfather was the reason that I'm here. This is a Hamilton watch that we released with Tapper's Jewelry. Mark Tapper is a good friend of mine, and we released these custom Hamiltons. When my grandfather passed away, the watch that was handed down to me was his 25-year anniversary watch with AC Delco, which is part of General Motors. So when he handed that down to me, I never heard of a Hamilton, and then I found out it was this American company that's now it's owned by a Swiss brand, but the story meant something to me. So instead of buying a Rolex or trying to do something like that, I was like, well, what would it take to customize this at a high level? So then I made these watches and seeded them to some of my closest friends, and then the rest were released at Tappers. So everything that we design, I look at as an artifact and something that has meaning behind it and something that a lot went into. So this is just an example of that. From the naked eye, it just looks like a regular watch, but that's really what it really represents to me. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to. This is an example of how some of the artwork, some of the prints that I do. I've been in the photography that came from Burn Rubber, from having to understand product photography. And I've developed a passion for it just because when you have to do something, you're like, you know, once you find out the science behind it, it becomes something that's addicting. So this is a way that I kind of tied the graphic design and my photography together. This is some of the murals. This is over there on Canfield. This is like the drive going up on Shinola near Naturel. This was the mural that was on that wall before we painted Evan. This was the piece that was there prior. As you can see, the camos in the back. Some slides that we did early. This is that the shady pill that we did and collection that we did with Paul Rosenberg and Eminem. One of my first things, we did this bear. I was like, how can I was looking for ways to spread the pattern that would be fun where people could see it. And one of we had like a set of like six bears that we did, and this was a real fun project that ended up just being like a branding exercise. This was the book that Yolanda just mentioned. And as you can see, we're talking about grief, we're talking about loss. And that new day concept, this was one of the first times we used it, I believe.
And with this, like, we were just trying to find a way to, like, it's always like the background of everything. And so the pictures on the front of the book are my family. I have two brothers. One of my brothers was killed in 2015, and then my second brother was killed in 2016. So I lost both of my brothers within an 18-month time frame. So I wanted to write a book to share my experience with grief and basically finding a way to look for the sun, like being intentional about not just getting buried by the loss, but finding a way to grow from this and to learn how, that's why the book says sorry for your loss, but what happened, because everybody always wants to know what happened. It's like, oh, sorry for your loss, was it COVID, was it this, was it that? So you really want to know the story, but it's how grief is teaching me more than just pain. So we want to make sure that everything that we did still ties into our brand and who we are. So that's why I think we were at an Airbnb trying to figure this out. And, we have a lot of times it can be very tough conversations and things trying to figure out how to showcase something. So this is the result of that. It's also available on Audible. We did the Audible version earlier this year too.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah.
This is another cool project that I did with my friend Doug. And the beginning of Detroit Wick, like Doug and I did. He used to have this place called Complex in Birmingham, and it was the first time I ever did a pop up. So we wrapped the wall with my camo. We did these candles. At the time, Doug was doing Detroit Wick was like he would take old like liquor bottles or and they would cut the tops off, and then he would have like 1 cent. And I remember with the theme of consistency, I used to tell Doug, like, bro, you have to brand that scent because you don't own these vessels. And I would have these discussions with him about scent branding, and that's what you see now is he's talking about scent branding. And he's one of my good friends to this day. And this candle is my grandmother never burned this candle because it smelled so good.
And it was very expensive, So she was like, "This is the craziest candle I've ever bought.
Yes.
Like $100."
But it just so much detail went into this. It was one of my favorites. This is Mason. This is little Mason, and he's just wearing the JanSport backpack. This is when he was a young guy. He's huge now. He's not this little guy anymore. This was a project we did with Converse. This was the Bears. I did this as a part of I did a project with my friend Mike Packer from Packer in Teaneck, New Jersey, and he released a shoe that was like for the it was like a polo collection that he did, and he had me do this bear in the colors. I just kept this in here. This is a piece from this is the first time I painted this Dillatine piece. It was a triptych. And I actually reclaimed this piece, but I just kept this in here because when you see a Dilla thing, you might as well leave it in because you need to talk about Dilla when Dilla comes up. Everybody know who Dilla is? All right, good.
Where's that piece now? The big one.
Well, the one that I did for the show is actually at NYU in the School of Music. So I did the piece that I had in Hip Hop Raised Me. I gifted it to Dan Sharness, who wrote Dilla Time, and he has it in the NYU School of Music. It's in the halls of the building now. So if you guys are ever out there, snap a picture and send it to your boy. And this was actually the first time I painted the gradient with the camo, and this was for my friends Rula and Jesse at One Time Run and Spotlight. Still, this one's still riding. I love this mural. And I just did. This was another Eastern Market about a block away from the one with the kid. I did this actually as a part of our Puma release for those shoes for the Hip Hop 50 because everyone knows that graffiti is one of the elements of hip hop. This was actually us painting the mural. And this is the most recent mural that I have on 14 Mile with me and my homie Ghostbeard. I think I've brought you guys all the way to the current iteration of this pattern. I tried to illustrate that the pattern is a tool that I use to tie everything that we've done together. And I hope you enjoyed what we had to share. We have some examples of our of some of the projects up here. We have some candles. We did this box set last year, or for the thing as well, for the show Hip Hop Raised Me, and we always call our product Tremendous Cream. You know what I'm saying? Because we like to give ends to our friends, and it feels stupendous. So
That's
everything,
by the great philosopher Biggie
Biggie
Smalls.
Smalls, yes, and Cream. Just another side note: the Cash Rules Everything Around You from Wu Tang is where this name came from. It wasn't, I named it, and it used to have periods in between those. And that's why the logo is spaced out like that, because I had to take the periods out to make sure it's approachable, but it was rooted in the Wu Tang, just so everyone knows. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys for your time today.
Do you have time for questions at all? Or we went over, of course.
Does anyone? We're already playing the song. Does anyone have? When you everyone, of course, can feel free to linger. And do you guys have time to linger and chat? Yeah. So we can move Q&A to just organic discussion. But thank you. That was like a case study in creativity and genius. Obviously, pattern. That was epic. Round of applause again for these amazing people. Thank you, everybody, so much. I literally wish we had 3 more hours to do this. And I forgot a sponsor, Maze Publishing, book printing, magazine printing. Go see Elizabeth. Oh, we're just gonna jam here. Amazing. Well, I will see you all next month. We are starting in November. We're gonna start planning for next year's Creative Mornings. There might be some changes, some cool things. So just planting that seed. If you're like, ooh, it would be cool if we did this or if we did this differently, please talk to me, because I'm open and I want this to be a really obviously community-driven thing that we keep creating together. So I will see you all next month. Thank you guys again. See ya.
Real quick, we have a few shirts while supplies last, some Detroit shirts that we made a while ago. And this is a deck of cards that I did. I don't even know what year it was, but it was with one of my best friends, Jeremy Deputat. And it was the Dirty 30 for 30. And I have a couple cartons of this to give away, but there's like some of your favorite people like Mike Posner and a lot of the amp fiddler. We shot him. He's in here. So this is something that from a while ago, but while supplies last, you guys are welcome to these as well. Oh, and then look, guys, this song that they're playing is the first, like I said, the first Metal Feet song. And these are the first Metal Feet tap shoes. Yeah.